So we are live, and I will just hang out here to see if anyone will join us. It's so dark and dreary and cold outside. I'm going to invite anyone joining this stream live, which so far there's no one. But I want to invite anyone who's watching this on playback to make yourself a cup of tea. Get some comfy clothes on and join me here. I should really have some confirmation that the microphone is loud enough. 3 people were meant to be joining, but there was no one in the waiting room. So, will they join later? Nobody knows. They'll be able to. Everyone will be able to watch it later. So I guess I've got to use this time. I'm just now really paranoid that you can't hear me. But do I go through the process? Go through the steps? Oh yeah, wear headphones. I can't wear headphones because I'm about to stand up and do some movement. Guests. Stage. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Morning.
So you've got tea. Oh no, this happened last time where I can't hear you.
Oh. Should be able to from my end.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Mic off and then mic on.
Who's that? What's that? What's that? Ooh. Morning, away.
Can I send a message? Okay, so this is like a morning introduction to the exercise routine. Most important thing about the exercise routine is that it's fun. This whole practice is super recent, but it's based on ancient Qigong, Tai Chi, different martial arts, and it's a way of connecting the body up by having self-inquiry to the sensations that arise from the simple exercises. It makes you more present to the moment. Does that make sense?
Can you hear me now?
So I can slightly hear background, but I can't actually hear you. Have you got your microphone on? Yeah, microphone was on. Okay, great. So you can hear me. So in a sense, doing this practice is meant to take you deeper into your body. So we can obviously have a check-in later. But the pros and cons of doing stuff online, there's massive cons because you like to do corrections and it's just much more engaging to do it in person. But the massive pros are that you're in the comfort of your own home. You can wear your pajamas, you can bring your cat to the party, and you can have a cup of tea. So it just makes dropping in to your body actually much easier. So that's why when I've done this practice before with people, it works really well. So because my sound isn't working, can we do like a thumbs up? So it's either yes or no. Have you done Qigong or Tai Chi before? Okay, great.
Little bit.
Oh, yes, we've got one more person joining. Good morning, Roger.
Apologies for lateness.
Hi, Roger.
Hi.
Hi, Roger.
So for some reason, my microphone is really, really quiet, and I was just explaining, actually, that might not be such a bad thing. We've got a short kind of introduction to the morning practice, which obviously you know somewhat from doing down by the river and your other Qigong experience. I'm obviously going to sort this microphone out as soon as possible, but for now it's so silent I can't hear either of you. But I've decided that doesn't matter, because it's more about you being in your body, following some light instructions, and I was just explaining the main benefit of doing this stuff online is that you can set yourself up to be super comfortable. So any morning practice like this, I'll invite you to make yourself a cup of tea, keep your pajamas on, just be super comfortable. And as I was explaining before, we're doing like a thumbs up gesture because I can't hear you. So if there's any questions, you have to type them. But hopefully the lack of communication will actually work in our favor, because we don't want to be too intellectual. This morning practice is all about feeling. And as my teacher, often says to me, it's like finding a part of the practice that engages you. So you then have this self-inquiry, and by feeling into the body, it actually makes you more present. It's a way of quietening the monkey mind and getting you much more into your feeling body. Whereas overthinking obviously is a thought, catastrophizing and dramatizing. We make everything so much worse by our thoughts. So actually just being present to the moment often means we can deal with the situation a lot more. So I'm going to begin, and as with doing this practice always, I hope the camera encompasses enough of me. So we always find our feet. Yes, if you want to take, see, I'm loving it. Everyone's already got tea. They didn't need my prompt. So you want to feel your feet on the ground, and I always do this. I use the inside of my palms to mirror the soles of my feet, because the palms are much more receptive and responsive. There's a much bigger center in the brain to receive information. So by just using the palms of your hands, you can just start to relax and soften the soles of your feet. This isn't compulsory, this hand-foot connection thing. I just find it so beneficial. You can rock back into the heels, and it takes your weight obviously backwards, and it feels like it's more of a descending energy. So the energy runs down your back of your legs and into your heels and makes you more solid. And then if you roll, so you're on the front of your feet, it's more of an ascending energy. So the balls of your feet, if you push them into the ground, it should send energy. So you're obviously pushing down, but that downward energy then brings lift and buoyancy to the front of the body. And this is the start of that kind of self-inquiry. If I go back, I'm too sunk back. If I go forward, I'm too wobbly and on the front of my feet and lifting energy. So you want to find that middle point, obviously, in the middle of your feet that is comfortable and helps you just relax. So you have a sense of feeling grounded, but you also have a sense of buoyancy. And I know that both of you have done Qigong. We have this golden thread from the top of the head. So you have this kind of upward energy from the crown of your head. So you have this up energy, and then you have the heavy pelvis. So you have this down energy. So in terminology, you are going up and down at the same time, and that lengthens the spine, and it gives you two kind of dynamic, intentional motion. So up and down lengthens. So we'll explore this more, but exploring opposites at the same time again quietens the mind, because the brain isn't designed to be able, you can do up quite easily and you can do down quite easily, but to do up and down at the same time, it is a feat of mental gymnastics to be able to hold that. And you also want to relax across your whole shoulder girdle, so your arms are just hanging like ropes. We might, and this is the beauty of this exercise, you can just do this morning practice, because obviously the idea is the practice becomes your very own practice, and actually just standing and allowing your body to rebalance over 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. A certain tension holding in the shoulders, holding the pelvis will just start to relax. So I'm always really self-conscious. If we just do standing, it feels like I'm not teaching very much, or we're not doing very much in the practice, but this actually is the most powerful component of the practice. It's just surrendering to the moment of doing nothing, but so much is going on because your body is realigning, readjusting, and rebalancing. So this is the essential component of this practice, because you've got to find ground zero, this neutral, relaxed, aligned, balanced body, before we then do other movement. And so if we just hang out here for one more minute and just feel any sensations, don't try and control your breathing. Just have a heavy, relaxed pelvis and buoyant head. And this is where we return back to, if you feel overwhelmed in the day, if you're in a tricky situation with the kids or your partner, just take your attention back to your alignments, and it withdraws you from over engaging or the argument that is pending. It just becomes a very safe space. And a lot of unwinding can happen here. So we've all been wound up and making different shapes over the years, and actually just allowing the body, they call it stacking the bones. So if you stack the bones, the other muscles can relax. So the basis for nearly all the exercises are standing still, allowing a neutral, relaxed position, and then squatting. If you've done Tai Chi, you realize you do all this stuff with the arms. I'm over exaggerating it here, but you do all these different motions. The whole way through Tai Chi, it's just a series of squats, and you'll bend and you'll do one-legged squat, and you'll bend the other way and you'll do another one-legged squat. So it's just getting this pumping action in the body. It took me a decade to learn the choreography for Tai Chi, but the actual components for health I could have done in a couple of weeks by just opening and closing the body. So if you want to try and just do a squat that keeps you in alignment, so you still have your head buoyant upwards, your pelvis heavy. And so if I do a small squat, so I keep the integrity of my structure, you start to really warm up. And then again, the beauty of this practice is if you're feeling a bit gentle, or a bit autumn, a bit wintry as it is now, you can just do it very gently. And then in spring, you might be feeling more boisterous, and you can do a deeper squat. But the idea is you're always staying within your everyone cut out then. So really gentle squatting motion, and this will start to warm you up. And you don't need to learn all the choreography of Tai Chi. Obviously, there's other components in that, but actually just this gentle squatting brings the body all online. And again, you want to find that edge, so do a little bit of a deeper squat, but you don't want to put your lower back in jeopardy. So you always want to be squatting within your comfort zone, and then you're able to expand beyond your comfort zone and strengthen, and that becomes your new comfort zone. So the idea is you're not pushing yourself, because no one ever wants an injury. You're staying within your parameters. And then your range of movement will increase. And so one of my favorite things to do, as I did with Roger so many times down by the river, is I call it the reverse squat. So this then really works balance. You tip your weight onto one leg, and then you peel the unweighted leg off the ground. And this is a brilliant practice just in itself. So you shift weight from side to side. You wait till you're fully weighted on one side, and then you lift the other leg off the ground, and it should not corrupt your balance. So it's finding that point, and again, using your inner awareness. Well, I'm fully weighted on this leg. Now I can easily bring this off the ground without tipping any balance on this side. So if we just do this a few more times, you shift across, and then you peel this leg off the ground. Just hang out here for a minute, and it's always, you're using your proprioception and your somatic sensing of the body. So this is helping you go deeper into a state of kind of relaxation by being really present to the motions. And then one more time we come across, we shift onto our weighted leg, and then this time we're going to do, like I said, I've described it as a reverse squat. So you get that same pumping action as if you were squatting, but actually this leg now has obviously not got the weight of your body. So one side is working on balance and structure and a bit of stamina, because it's hard work. And the other leg is much more free to do this pumping action. This whole area of the body, when you get softened and relaxed, allows power to be transferred through the body. So just to talk a little bit more about this, you can use this as you're working through resistance. So if you imagine digging with a spade or pushing a stake into the ground, it's obviously harder than just doing the lifting and the pressing of the leg. So also, as I said, you can, and then change sides at will. It's not a stamina exercise. It's more of a sensing exercise. So go from one leg to the other. Try and keep the amount you do on either side as balanced as possible. But the fact that we're moving through resistance requires more engagement from the body. So if you imagine the foot, when you're lifting, it gets attached to a coil or a spring. So you have to use more energy or effort to lift and push the spring. And so you can do effort up and then easy down. Or you can do easy up and then imagine having to push a stake or a shovel into the ground. And by you conjuring these images up with your mind, it engages much more musculature of the body, and it's nearly always your core muscles, which are technically out of your conscious control. So by using images, you're engaging these core muscles. And you shift across. So we'll just do a couple more rounds. of the squatting, the reverse squatting rather. And then I'm assuming this is warming everyone up somewhat. One of my favorite things, especially to teach online, because you can't get it wrong, and it just has such a profound effect at relieving tension, is to do shaking. And so shaking obviously is different for everyone and doesn't need many corrections. This is why I love doing it online. So I encourage people, again, it's very weather dependent. Sometimes autumn and winter, you have a much gentler shake. And then in the spring and the summer, you've got much more energy. So this practice really is so beneficial because you do just as much as you've got fuel in the tank. So you're not overdoing it. You want to have some awareness to your alignments. So your golden thread, your buoyant head, and your heavy pelvis. Or, and like I say, a simplified way is having your energy go upwards and downwards at the same time. And that keeps us lengthening. And then apart from that, let go of the arms, the hands, and you just shake. In the shaking, you can make different shapes. So obviously by holding my arms out, I release my shoulder girdle. And that then technically is harder work, but you're doing a different, you're releasing in different places in the body. And then just be guided. So I'm feeling a bit more tension here. So you can kind of lean into releasing one side. Now you can even use your other hand just to relax any holding in the shoulder girdle. And obviously it feels like I'm talking quite a lot. You just want to allow my words to come to you and allow my words to become your words. And it's more about your inner awareness and inner landscape. And again, if you've got one side, you can go onto one side, shake it out, go the other side. You know, I'd even go as far as saying maybe you could even have some very light or gentle kind of background music just to help you really get into the atmosphere of it. Or even wake anyone else up in the household, probably. So shifting from leg to leg. You know, leaning back a little bit, opening the chest, just allowing your lower body to support your upper body, but wanting to just go quite floppy. And each and any of the standing, the squatting, or the shaking that we've all looked at today, you can do for extended periods of time. And the practice that we look at is basically a variation on different degrees of that. Because I know you've both got some experience, we can also include a swing. And this is also one of the most powerful things you can do. So I've got my washing line here. I'm going to close this down quickly. And then the swing, again, is like the weight transfer and just with floppy arms. So you want to keep your central column very relaxed, but just allow your arms and your shoulder girdle to totally relax. You can do this where you keep your weight in the middle. So you're just rotating around your central axis, or you can add a layer of complexity and shift from side to side. So you're taking you're transferring weight, and you can be really pernickety about this, and you can check that you're transferring by peeling that one leg off the floor, or you can just be much more free flow with it. We lost Roger.
I'm here.
Exactly. Thought we lost you there for a minute, Roger.
Oh. Can you hear anything now? No. Okay. What's that for? Edit, no.
And I know we're covering a lot of ground today. And actually, each of these practices we've covered is probably better done with slightly longer duration, just to help you get in the zone or help you get into that much more relaxed state. So I'm throwing a lot of new things at you. But with the swing, you can also put a shake or a bounce in that. And that's also another way of really preventing the body from holding this unnecessary excess tension. There we go.
Oh.
So we'll just do this twisting for one more minute to really feel uninhibited and allow yourself to really get into the process, really get absorbed in the moment.
Oh. Oh.
Great. So we're now going to revisit all those exercises we did already. And I know that might sound boring, but just be aware of, now we've woken the body up, just the different sensations. So if we come back to the early standing exercise and just feel your feet on the ground, I'm aware there's a lot more heat in my body. There's a lot more tingling and reverberation. I'm definitely feeling a lot more alive. My body is almost pulsing more. So just use this time to allow the mind to drop into the body, just quieten that mind. And the real benefit of doing this online stuff is it allows you to really feel deeply in your body. You know, you're in the comfort of your own home, you've got no distractions, just really feel sensations that are arising for you. Got another cat. The ideal is to just stand and almost meditate with this practice, but it's a physiological, it's physically making you stronger. But the more you relax, the more tension you'll release from the body. sometimes the mind wants a little something extra to do. So if you're finding your mind is quite busy, you can go to putting more weight in your heels or more weight in the front of your feet. And just those different sensations almost engage you further in the practice. You can change arm position if you want a little extra juice in the system. So I often call this as ground zero. This is just neutral, arms just really relaxed. And then the very traditional first position in Qigong is hugging a tree. So you want to somehow get your arms out in front of you as if hugging a tree, but you don't want to compromise the structure. So you're just adding this onto your already relaxed structure. Obviously, having the arms out in front is going to require different movement or different structural alignments to allow it and make it easy. So again, I encourage people to use imagery to feel supported. So you can imagine you've got big bouncy balloons supporting your arms or stacks of pillows. And the imagery, as my teacher and his teacher, is as important as the actual physical practice. So engaging your mind and absorbing it in the body is really the magic of this practice. So it's a body-mind connection. So if you start to fatigue, just use your images, and the stronger your images get, the more tangible they become. So just relax, but feeling supported, and whatever that looks like to you. It can be your grandkids or your children or little midgets just standing and supporting your arms, but whatever images spark joy and ease of the posture. So stacks of pillows or balloons is my favorite one. You want your hands and fingers to be as relaxed as possible. And you want your posture to be almost unwavering, just really static, really still, and feeling supported. You know, as your arms, and just to point out, this is not a stamina exercise. So if your arms or shoulders do start to fatigue, you know, you can very easily drop your arms, shake your shoulders, and then come back to it. It's more about connecting in to the posture. So holding this for just 1 minute, it with an inner smile is preferable to gritting your teeth and standing bearing this for 5 minutes. So it's about a looseness and a softness, yet still feeling supported and able to hold your body in this position. It's not about militant discipline and having to stand here. It's conjuring the images to allow your body to be soft. My teacher often describes it as like the pipe cleaner, so you can bend your arms and the pipe cleaners in whatever position you want, and they're still flexible and soft and buoyant, and it's just deepening your core stability. So this is, I think, the most important posture, but obviously there's other shapes you can make. Just going to hang out here for 1 more minute. And so it's always good to remind people of the inner smile. If you are starting to fatigue shoulders, just think of something that you're grateful for. And with your kind of gentle inner gaze that I'm suggesting everyone has, you can just smile at yourself for turning up to do this practice. I don't think many people are up this early on a dark, dreary autumn day doing this self-care. So just be really grateful and feel proud and gratitude to yourself for making the effort to be here. That's great. So if you just shake it out, you know, I always encourage people to do whatever movements feel alive to them in the moment. So twisting, shaking, squatting, standing, you want to make all of them your own. So I'll be a guide to give suggestions to different movements, but at the end of the day, it's really, the sooner this practice becomes your own, the more you'll get from it. And I understand initially you need kind of instruction and guidance, but actually this body awareness, this body movement really becomes super powerful when it becomes your own kind of practice. So there's one more exercise, and all these standing, squatting, shaking, twisting, all of them have different variations on them, but this is a component that plays into all of them, and it's imagery that you're either putting your body under different pressure and how your body responds. So my favorite one, or at least the most simple one to explain, is if you're standing in a tidal river. So you have river up to your midriff. Don't worry, it's warm, so you're not feeling cold. But the idea is that if the current pushes towards you, how your body responds to the current pushing towards you. And obviously if you're just standing still and you just strongly imagine the river coming towards you, standing just with your hands, arms just down by your side, how your body responds. My natural response is almost to lean into that current and have the current almost then support me. So we'll change direction of the current, and as the current changes direction, just be aware of how your body naturally responds. So we'll do a couple of examples and then we'll stand in each position. So now if you imagine the current is coming from behind, it's pushing, it's almost like you lean back a little bit, and you want to make this sensation as real and as tangible as possible. So you have on the back of your arms, the back of your body, you have this current, and it can be quite a gentle kind of meandering stream kind of current, so it's very gentle. Or as you're playing around with this, it can be a much more fierce sea-like kind of pressure, and so you need a lot more kind of engagement to hold your weight backwards. So we'll do one more change, because it's when you change the current that you really see different things happening in your body, and then we'll just hold that for a minute. So if the current's coming from behind us now, just imagine now the current's coming from in front, and just how the body, for me, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but I kind of squatted down a little bit and kind of pushed into the ground to be able to deal with that oncoming current. And like I say, you want to make it as real as possible, like you have the water pushing against your body and what that actually feels like in your body, to be able to deal with this pressure coming forward. And again, you want to have always 5 or 10% of your awareness just on your alignment. So you have a buoyant head and a heavy pelvis, feet pushing into the ground, and therefore feeling more buoyant and upright. And again, changing current is a really good way to keep you engaged in the process. If you're just in one direction with the current coming in and the mind wanders, you can always switch direction of the current, and the current's coming from behind, and it just keeps you really engaged in the process. So what happens to your body if this current is strong and pushing from behind? You almost have to lean back a little bit to engage in these different core stabilizing muscles, which are, you know, outside of our conscious control, but by using these images, you then engage these core stabilizing support muscles. you'll feel your body working a lot harder than if you were just standing here and leaning forward. So the images are so important. Just try and keep as relaxed as you can in body and mind. So now again, it's a freakish current. It's because it's changed direction again. So now you've got to adapt, and the current is now coming from from in front of you again. And another almost mind exercise is that what happens to your body if the current is coming from both directions. So now the current is not only coming from in front, but also from behind. So I won't tell you what to think or what to feel, but just encourage and create as strong an image as possible. So a current is coming forward, so we're leaning into that current, and a current is also coming from behind. I know this is plausible in the natural world, but just in your imagination, how does your body respond to this pressure coming forward and this pressure coming from behind? And keep conjuring up the images. Now I'll invite you to be your own be in charge of the current. So you can go from the current coming in front, current coming behind. You can do quite quick shifts, or you can change direction and just lean into that motion for a while. And just to throw something else into the mix, you can also have a current coming from the left or the right side. So just as we're coming up on end of time for this morning practice, we'll just imagine the current coming from one side and how your body has to adapt to deal with that. Strong current coming from one direction, and then changes and it comes from the other direction. How does your body deal with this sustained pressure? For me, it's coming now from the left hand side, so my right leg is seemingly doing a bit more work. And now if the current comes in from the right hand side, and then imagine the current coming from the front and the back and the sides. It's almost like the current is squashing you in, but the pressure of it is making your body kind of adapt to deal with these different currents coming from different directions. And again, you be in control, and you can do one at a time, or you can do two, you can do side and front. So it's just utilizing, and it's allowing different pressures to come in. So in a martial aspect, it's making you stronger from different attacks from different angles. But from a physiological and health perspective, it's just making you more robust. And it's, people cave in or, cave backwards. And so by allowing the pressures coming in at different angles, it makes you more solid and more buoyant. Okay, so I always like to finish So this is I'll demonstrate it, and then I'll talk you through it again. This is something I always finish with all my Qigong practices because it's so beneficial. So Roger, you'll remember this before, but if you just start with your hands down by your side, I've actually got quite a low ceiling here, so I'm going to have to slightly adapt it. And as you start to roll into the balls of your feet, your arms raise up to reach a point where you're actually at the zenith. So I say this is like midday where the sun is right high in the sky. And then as you start to roll into your back of your heels, you bring your arms down. Obviously, this takes a few times round to kind of get in sync, but you want to be absolutely neutral in the middle of your feet when your arms are down by the side. And then you start this process of coming forward into the balls of your feet. As your arms rise, you come more into the balls of your feet, and you should be fully stretched now. You want your shoulders to stay relaxed, but your arms are fully stretched. And then you start the descent. So this is the analogous of being summer, and now going into autumn, and now coming into winter. And there's this still point in the depths of winter. And then as you come out of winter, you're coming into spring, and the energies are rising, and the sun is rising up. So you reach this kind of zenith here where you're in the front of your feet, arms fully raised, and then you start this kind of descent as you send your energy back down your body. Just getting more and more relaxed and quieter, and then you just reach this kind of neutral space here. So just do one more circle around, and then so you're raising the arms up, energy into the balls of your feet, enjoying that high point of summer, midday almost, and then the energy starts to descend. And this time we're just going to come to a natural pause and just come back to stillness. Feel into your body how you're feeling. Be aware of the reverberations. You know, depending on what time frame you have, you can just hang out here in this neutral position, or you can then use this energy gathered from the morning practice to continue doing more morning practice. For today, that's the end of the kind of guided session, but I'm still going to do the 7-minute practice, and it is a combination of the standing, the squatting, and the shaking, just to bring a aliveness to you if you're having a low moment, or helping you deal with overwhelm or tension. And I really encourage people to revisit that 7-minute practice, maybe once at lunchtime, maybe once in the evening, and then doing a slightly longer morning practice. But yeah, hopefully this then inspires you to then, you know, hang out and do a bit more practice yourself. I'm going to check in with both of you at some point today, and I really apologize for not having sound on from your part, but I hope you got something from it. And I would love your feedback, and I'm going to try a different platform next time we meet up so I can actually hear what you're saying at the time. But for today, have a magical day, and I will check in with you both later. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys.